Greetings, folks. Welcome to another edition of After Hours, where authors go to unwind. In my virtual pub today, I'm joined by British horror writer Gary Power. Hello, mate.
Hello, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. What are you drinking there?
Well, it looks like Guinness, and it is Guinness.
No, what looks like Guinness that isn't? Do they still do Murphy's? Because that was the only other choice, wasn't it?
Yeah. And a little bit of, I've had a little bit of champagne today too, because it's the launch of a certain little book. So
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
I was just going to say that. Congratulations, sir. Your book, The Art of Anatomy. That's it, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Art of Anatomy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you've got one. Oh, yeah, of course, you'll have a proof, won't you? Yeah.
I've got two or three. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I ended up with a stack of them because I did a bunch of prize giveaways, that kind of thing. I love those Madison mini books.
Fantastic.
They're great, aren't
Yeah.
they?
I didn't know what to. Yeah, they really are. They really are. Well, they say the perfect one-shot read sort of thing, and they really are. And it works. Yeah, they're great. I'm very happy. And the great publisher
while
too.
While we're on that subject, I just wanted to prove something to Deirdre from Madison
Yes.
Press, who put out this lovely
Yeah.
book. Now, when we
Yeah.
did the launch event, I said
Yeah.
that it was sporran sized. So this is my sporran, and inside it fits perfectly. You see, sporran sized books. What more can you ask for?
Pocket size and everything, just perfect. Right.
Yeah. So how did that come about? Because I've read the blurb. Do you want to just tell us a little bit about it, just to whet people's appetites?
What the Art of Anatomy?
Yes.
Is it's a mixture. I have a very strange. I go back more years than I probably care to admit at the moment here, but I go back to it, and I love, and I can't deny. I love Ray Bradbury. I love Something Wicked This Way Comes, Which Way Comes, and I also love Clive Barker. I have this very strange mix of horror and fantasy, and so it can go from extreme. I mean, another one of mine. I hope you don't mind. I got some things together because I knew I was going to.
Oh no! Go for it, man. I mean, this is about.
There's another one now. This is, unfortunately, they're not going. It's you'd probably like this, Gehenna in Home, and that was the year's best body horror, and that was fairly extreme stuff. That's my Clive Barker type of
nice
writing, and unfortunately, they're not going at the moment. But really good publisher. And this story sort of mixes my love of this sort of feel-good Ray Bradbury, perfect summer sort of stuff with some fairly full-on horror, so to whet the appetite. But ultimately, unusually for me, it's a little bit uplifting. You know, it's not all too macabre. It's sort of well, I won't say how it ends, but
no,
but
don't do that.
It's also, I decided on this story because it's a novella. It's a bit longer than the normal short story stuff that I do. To expand on the characters, so that there's a whole host of different characters. I have to say, I was very happy. I've always been. I wrote it a few years ago, but I've continuously. I'm sure you've done that. You continuously work at some pieces.
Yeah.
And the incarnation now is nothing like the first one, but and then. Madison mini books came up on the radar, and I sort of put it before them, and they seem to really like it. And I have to say, it's perfect. I think they're fantastic.
They are, yes, yeah.
I love what they do. I love the editing process. They seem to understand.
It's really easy and going, isn't it? I mean, because I've worked with quite a lot of editors now, but I love the way Ron does it, where he'll come with the different passes to you and say, and he'll actually, if he has a question about, because I don't know if you got it, because I mean, I use a lot of Britishisms in my stuff. Like he'll come and goes and then ask me. It's just like, what does that actually mean?
Well, I mean, the bizarre thing with the art of anatomy, I'll probably get that in about 50 times.
Keep
Yeah,
it.
yeah. In fact, I'll just stick it here on my shoulder.
Blue tack it to the wall.
It's a sort of turn of the century, and it's an American carnival, and I do quite a lot of research into. Even I tend to do short stories at the moment. I have a couple of novels sort of ready to go, but I'm sort of 25 short stories out there now, which I know by your standards, you are prolific. You are quite. Yeah, you're quite
well, the thing is,
amazing,
you're quite a busy man, because I mean, your day job is, pretty time consuming, I imagine.
I'm key working at the moment as well.
Yeah,
so,
this is what I mean. Yeah. Whereas I'm not. I'm just stuck inside with nothing better to do. So...
Well, I have this and I have this, and I stay up till about 2 a.m, and then I'm very bleary-eyed the next day. But I stay up late. I love writing. It's my passion.
How long have you been doing it? Because I noticed, like, on your Amazon thing, you got some stuff going back quite a while.
Yeah. About 100 years.
You got a portrait in your attic.
I have. Yeah. I just might. I have been accused of that, but no. I mean, I've always read horror, and I wrote, but I never thought I would try and get published. And then I started going to a good few years ago. I started going to the British Fantasy. So I became a member of the British Fantasy Society purely to meet people. I met Clive Barker, so that's it.
Nice.
I'm happy. I can die.
Yeah.
I met Clive Barker. That's great. And I met many people, and now through that, I don't know if you know, Adam Neville is a fantastic. He's our Stephen King at the moment, and I'd written a story. I sent it to well, I actually went to the there was the meal at the end of, there was the sort of prize winning banquet at the end of this BFS do. And I talked to a publisher, and he said, well, send us a story. So I did. And that was called Crow's Wing Books. And that was The Road to Hell. And he just published it. He loved it, and he published it. And I thought, oh, perhaps I can write, perhaps I can. So, and I've just carried on. I've carried on going to the BFS and met other people. I just write, I read. And yeah, I'm very pleased with the stories that I've had published in the books I've had published.
I was exactly the same. I'd written for years and years and years, and I didn't think for 1 minute that anybody would want to read the crap that came out of my head. Because, because I noticed as well, you have a very similar sort of interest in, like, the weird fiction end of it that I do. And I just thought, no, nobody's going to publish this crap. And then finally, it was my partner. She just said to me, look, you've got a load of stuff. What's it going to hurt? Just throw some stuff out there and see what happens. So that's what I did. And that's why I probably appear more prolific than I actually am. Some of this stuff has been written for years.
Well, same with me. And then I just always carried on writing because I loved writing. But I did try to get in, I don't know, with the website, the books I've got, Horrorzine. There's a few. Dark Lane. Do you know Dark Lane? I got a story in Dark Lane published. I'll have to give you that one. It's worth looking into. They're weird fiction. Awesome. And I didn't know if I was weird enough. And I'd written a story that was fairly weird, where someone goes up into they fly off, and there's people in the clouds, and the plane and everything turns into clouds and things. So I thought, well, that's fairly weird, and it worked. They liked it anyway. So I've always gone for books, and Horrorzine in America, Jeannie Rector. I managed to get in with them, which I was even bizarrely author of the month. But I'm not sure why.
Oh, nice.
I'm doing something right.
Yeah, I don't know what, but
no,
I don't know what either. But I think that happens with a lot of us. It's like we've all got imposter syndrome, haven't we? It's just we've all got it.
But one thing I'll say is, I read Burning Reflection that you wrote, and that was the first thing I read of yours. I loved it.
Oh, right.
you got it. You've got something, and obviously, perhaps I've met people enough. I've met publishers enough. I always ask questions. I'm terrible. Why do you do this? Why don't you do that?
Yeah.
I look back at the earlier stories, and they seem fairly basic and amateur to me. I mean, I quite enjoy them still. You've got to enjoy your own work, I think.
Yeah.
But now I feel that I've learned the art to a certain degree.
Yeah. I mean, I go back even 6 months, and I'll look at stories I wrote 6 months ago, because that's the other thing, isn't it? We're always, because I think by proxy, to be a writer, you have to be quite a prolific reader. And that's the way you learn tricks and things and bits and pieces. And I look back on stuff I wrote 6 months ago and go, oh God, I wish I'd have done that bit different.
Yeah.
That's why you get all these authors, like, after they've been doing it for a few years, they'll go back and rewrite their early stuff. I mean, W.H. Pugmire did it just before he died. And it was just like, awesome. So, Yeah.
No, I quite agree. And I mean, also, I'm a fan of Algernon Blackwood, H.P. Lovecraft, of course. Lord
Willows,
Dunsany.
The Willows is still one of the most terrifying things I've ever read by Blackwood. I love that stuff.
Yeah. Well, I have got luckily, I actually have post to this. I've actually done something called a whispering wood, which of course is cannibalistic trees, or rather trees that eat people. So I suppose they're not strictly cannibalistic, because they don't eat each other. But that is gruesome. That's one of my more full-on things, and that's been accepted. That's War Monkey, the American. I do seem to get published with America quite a lot.
I'm the same. I've only been published once, I think, with a UK publisher. No, it'll be they're both of them haven't come out yet, but everything else I've had published is either American, Canadian, or Australian. I think that's just because they've got a much bigger scene. I mean, over here we have publishers that all they do is put out biographies of some numpty who's been on the X Factor, or biography. There's a line in a song that I love by the Ghost of Lamora, and it's basically a list of all the things the singer hates, and it's biographies of celebrities who have not reached puberty, and it's true.
Totally.
Yeah. I mean, that's like, but you've got John Blake and all these other people that all they put out is this stuff, and the other publishers we have, most of what they put out is actually reprints. It's like Titan Books and people like that, who do like a lot of our fantasy and all that kind of stuff. It's mostly stuff that's already been out once and sold well. They don't like to take a chance on.
No, they're not adventurous. No, as you said, Canada. I did one for Memento Mori. That was a Canadian publisher. I have this thing. I'm not one of these. I would like success. I'd love great success. But I love the book. Honestly, I've got this almost anal thing about being in printed books. I love that. I should go for more. But I've got Memento Mori. I've got a little bookcase over there somewhere, and it's got. I love the covers. I love the books.
Yeah, I've got the vanity shelf as well. I'm exactly the same. It's I don't really care about, like, especially with short stories. I don't really care about the money or anything like that, because let's face it, when you're in with a bunch of other authors and you're going with small presses, you're not going to make a lot of money, and I don't really care about that. It's more, I'm more attracted to things that have a cool cover. It's just like, I want to be in that because that cover's awesome.
I mean, that is, look at that. I mean, that's just wonderful, isn't it?
That is a great cover.
That's a fairy tale, that is.
Nice. It's almost like the cover of Thomas Ligotti, almost.
Yes, yeah.
It's very similar to some of his covers. Yeah.
That is one of my. That's a fairly extreme. I say extreme horror, extreme in what happens, and it's fairly. I like to push the boundaries a little bit. But this is probably The Art of Anatomy. I'm just so happy because I actually feel that is actually some of my best writing. It's the best thing I've done. I feel, you never know, do you? I'm sure you'll get some Amazon reviews that come out. I can take it. I've got broad shoulders. So.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I had a review on a short story I had in one of the things not long ago. It was just like, it basically like, I liked every story except, and mine was one of the 5 that he didn't like. But a lot of other people also said they liked it. So it's horses for courses, isn't it? It's nobody, like, not everybody is going to like what you do.
I think the good thing now is I got to the stage when I feel like I really couldn't write early on. Although having said that first story I did, the Road to Hell, it actually puts a smile on the face to read it. It's comic horror really, but it's I'm very happy with what I've done. But I've learned the structuring, the pacing, the characterization, the planting something and picking it up later, and I've really done that with this one. Every little story, and there's many characters in this, and every little story leads to something a little bit later on. You know, I put more planning and thought into this than I have done in previous, and I do that now when I write. So
right,
yeah.
I don't really plan. I'm complete pantser. I yeah.
I don't plan. I understand. I know what you're saying, and would you agree too that stories? My God, I bet your stories do. They take a fucking life of their own, don't they?
Yeah, exactly.
Really
Yeah.
do.
Oh yeah, this is it. I'll have an idea and I'll think it's going to go in one direction. And a couple of pages into it, it's gone off on some fucking tangent. It's just like,
yeah. Oh,
come back.
This is that's the always watching eye. This sorry, I don't cross. It's like I'm trying to plug it, but it's a few years old now. You can still get it on Amazon. You can, in fact, you know, you're an Amazon author and all that stuff, so you can get the old ones. That just went fairly extreme. You know, I work in the health industry. I work with surgeons. I've seen full on
Yeah, I want
stuff.
to talk to you a little bit about that because.
So I did exploit that in this one.
That's what I was gonna ask you. I was gonna say, because you're neurology, you're like a radiologist, aren't you? Works with
I'm a radiographer, but I specialized in neurosciences. Yeah, that's what I don't now.
Yeah, because that's interesting because from where you are, did you work at the Princess Royal in Hayward Heath? Hurstwood Park, because I was in their neurology department for 6 weeks back in 2013.
Hurstwood Park.
Yeah.
We would have met. What? Oh no, I can't ask you what you had, but yeah.
Oh no. I was going to say because I developed a condition of transverse myelitis. So I basically had a shadow like the size of a pistachio nut on the back between my second and third cervical vertebrae. Right. So I was in there, and I was in there for like 6 weeks. So I was completely paralysed on my right hand side.
You're in Hurstwood Park.
Yes, yeah. Dr. Aaron was my consultant, and so I went for the whole works while I was in there. The MRIs and the old metal octopus on the head, and you know, while you look at the dots and all that. It's just it was. I sound like a connoisseur, and I guess I am now. But one of the best MRI scan I've ever had was in there, because I went in. I was still on the stick at this point. I couldn't really use this arm now, and I said, and the guy doing the MRI said the usual spiel of you know, it's going to be loud. There's going to be banging noises. And I happened to be wearing an Einstürzende Neubauten t-shirt. So I listened to that for fun. And we were talking about, it turns out he knew what I was on about. So I was like talking about all the like British industrial music, like Throbbie Gristle and all that. So while he put the old cod liver oil thing on the back of my neck, you know, like they do. And he went off and he actually piped it through into the machine. He piped through some Throbbie Gristle into the machine. I was just lying there going, oh, this is awesome.
I would have been very happy with that. Well, I mean, I work 24-hour on calls and going in at 3 a.m. with I've seen it. I mean, I know we're all going through so much shit at the moment, but that was 24/7 stuff even then, you know, in a different way. And so yeah. And I've done a short story for, again, absolutely an Morbury Press. I don't know if you ever knew the Black Book of Horror. He had about 10, and it was
I've only been going really for just over a year, really. I've only been published since December 2019.
That was there was a chap called Charlie Black who was he was a genius of a publisher, and he did Morbury Press. And the Black Book of Horror is really worth looking at. And I'm in 3 of them, and that's not why. Sadly, he's not with us anymore. Sadly, Charlie Black, who and so the Black Book of Horror is no more. And it's one of the best things I've been in. And I did a story with him called Deeper Than Dark Water. And yeah, I've spent so much time. I've seen, you see people die, you see people go through hell, and I've done a short story which goes into that. So I like to think there might be some depth to the stories that I do, in that they're just not, you know, I've sort of been there and I've seen it, and I tried to pull something good out of it as well. Although Deeper Than Dark Water is fairly bleak. It's a story.
I can tell by the title, to be fair. Deeper Than Dark Water.
the consultant in it is and if they ever saw this, it's a mixture of several of the consultants too, in good and bad ways, and and it's a story that I'm really the sort of denouement of it is in the last sentence. It really is, and I haven't yet met anyone who didn't see it coming. So it's a story that I'm really pleased with, and it literally, something happens in the last bit, and it's a story that I'm very, very happy with, sort of thing. I think
it's always gratifying when you land a twist, isn't it?
Yeah, and I've yet to, unless they're lying, I've yet to have someone say, "Oh yeah, I guessed that." So I'm very happy with that.
I actually had a review on Burning Reflection. Who's a friend of mine, Joel. Hi, Joel. He actually said early on in it, it's like, yeah, I thought I'd got it. I thought I'd got it all the way through, and then I hadn't. So I was like, I got you, because he's one of these guys who's always, oh yeah, I guessed it. Yeah, I did it. Like, got you.
I suppose that's the thing, because I have obviously not for the last year. Nobody's gone to anything for the last year, but the British Fantasy Society has been. I've met, and your last man standing at the bar. You're literally. It's 2-3 in the morning, and you're next. Well, as I said, I actually got to meet Clive Barker through that, but you also make friends of people that you really hold up there as authors, and you learn from them. And you know, I like to think that perhaps I'm distilling some of that into what I certainly try to into what I do, and it's very good to rub shoulders and mix with. I mean, to anyone that's out there that wants to write, is something like the British Fantasy Society or anything like that, you learn so much.
This is what I had this whole plan, because like I say, my first published thing was in like December 2019. So I had this master plan for 2020. I was like, right, I'm going to go and do this convention. I'm going to go here. I'm going to go there. I'm going to talk at this bookshop, that bookshop. And then COVID-19 hit. It's like, so, and that's why I ended up doing all this stuff online, because there was nowhere else to do it.
which is a good thing. You know, there's good from bad, you know.
Exactly. You've got to go silver lining hunting, haven't you? It's like when this shit show hits, you've got to come and try and get some positive out of it. You know?
Which is exactly now. I've always tried to do something good out of a bad situation, and I write more now. I focused hugely on the arse of anatomy. I'll just do that. Okay.
Yeah. I'm sure Callum's going to put the picture of it up at some point as well. So.
But yeah, I've got plans. I've got I actually wrote my novels before I did my short stories, but I'm not happy to put them out there yet. So, and now I feel that my writing's in.
When I decided I was going to give it a go properly, the first thing I wrote was a novel, full length. And because I always wrote when I was at school. Now when I left school, I was a chef for 20 odd years, right? So all I'd written at that time, she don't get a lot of time to do anything, apart from go to the pub afterwards, was in back of diaries and stuff like that. So I'd forgotten a lot of the like rules of like grammar and things like this. It all gone. And I started writing it and it was a bloody mess. But by the end of it, I'd figured it all out again. And so basically 2/3 of it are a complete disaster that I need to go back and fix. And I've just not got around to it yet. Yeah.
Well, as I said, I've got, and actually, it's going into the weird, because you definitely have you love definitely the weird and that.
Yes.
I know that. That's. I suppose I go for the sort of, what I try to do is I start with a realistic situation and I drag it into very weird or very scary or very frightening circumstances. So I just try and draw people into something like that sort of thing. And certainly the novel is called Strange World, and it's it definitely goes towards weird. It's probably and I will get it done. There's no two ways about it. Now, I mean, I'm so happy with the short stories that I've done that it's time to go for a collection, which you've certainly bloody beaten me to, haven't you then?
Yeah, I'm delighted about that. Well cause that's the same people who put out my mini book, your mini book, Madison Press.
Yeah,
so
fantastic.
So delighted.
And I'll tell you what, that speaks volumes. That I think that's such a good thing.
I'm delighted. I mean, that was always more so than a novel, was to get a collection out. That was always my dream, because I grew up reading all the things like Ramsey Campbell, Inhabitants of the Lake, and all that kind of stuff. You know, I grew up with these collections because, I mean, even the Stephen King collections, like Skeleton Crew and Night Shift. I think some of his best works in that, especially for the weird fiction. I think that short stories tend to work like some concepts you could do over long form, but a lot of the weird fiction stuff doesn't really work long because, it's.
I understand. Having said that, do you still read Ramsey Campbell?
I do. Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Have you read his? Because he had the trilogy out.
The Daedaloth thing. I've not actually read it. I've got them. I've not got around to reading them yet. But I'm a big fan of him because he was my writer growing up. Because he's from Merseyside, whereas I'm from Macclesfield, so we're the same county. So he was our horror writer.
At the risk of name dropping, Ramsey Campbell is a friend through the BFS. That's
nice.
The BFS is that it doesn't matter who you are, sort of thing. And hopefully I'm on the up. But Ramsey's been with the British Fantasy Society for decades, sort of thing, and a nicer man too. Yeah, absolutely wonderful.
Yeah. And I did meet him once at a convention. I met him and Graham Masterton, so I was happy. I was done for that. That was it. That was all I went for, to meet him and Graham Masterton. I was done. Yeah.
I think on the website, I love photos. I love sort of doing stuff. So part of my website I've got a gallery, and a lot of it's the BFS stuff, and it's a lot of the good friends that you do make. And certainly I've been going long enough now. So Ramsey is, that trilogy I've got. As PS Publishing, they're fantastic publishers, absolutely amazing, and the trilogy is to die for. And I've got 3 numbered editions, and I made sure I've got the same number for each one as well. And I'll tell you that what fantastic! Nice. You haven't read it yet.
You sound like my kind of guy, because I'm a complete and total collector. I have to have. It's like my record collection takes up half my flat. My library takes up the entire.
I could almost pick up this computer and take. Yeah, I think you'd pass out if you saw my book collection. So
nice, nice, excellent.
Because I will. The trouble with me is I will always spend more money on books than I earn. So,
yeah, I know that one.
I can't
right, eating this week or this. Yeah. What are you going to do? You're going to buy the book, aren't you? Yeah.
I just got an Algernon Blackwood from America for, I think the postage was half as much as what the book cost, actually. It's like mental at the moment.
Yeah, some of the, I know that one from sending, and you see the size of these mini books, right? They're not big novellas. The bloody postage, because I did these giveaways, like signed giveaways. And typical, all people who won were in the US. So
oh, really?
It cost me a fucking fortune.
Bad move.
I'm happy. I mean, at the end of the day, I just want people to read it. You know, I don't really care about, like I said, I don't care about the money and all that kind of stuff. At that point, especially as this is my first work with my name on it, it's about getting the name out there and getting some bloody reviews on Amazon.
Tim, that's the same for me. It's. I mean, this one's good because it's got. I think right down the bottom. I've got my name on the bottom amongst others.
There we go. Yeah. Nice.
So I've got that. But yeah, this is special. And then
there is something special about your first standalone.
It's the story as well. You're obviously very happy. I thoroughly enjoyed that. Yours. It was absolutely. I really enjoyed it. And you never know.
Thank you.
And I thought, because I'd seen you, and I was going to be talking to you, and I thought, oh God, what if I really don't like
it? What if it's crap?
And perhaps I don't. No.
Maybe he's a good poker player.
No, I couldn't do that. No, really, seriously enjoyed it. And
thank you.
And I'm happy with this.
Well, I'm actually going to be ordering yours at some point because, again, I have to have paperbacks. I don't do Kindles and things like that. I have to have paperbacks. So I'm ordering a copy of yours because, I was sold on the blurb. It was just like,
Well, it's always interesting too. Because today was the launch day too, which was
indeed.
Someone pointed out to me that they said it was the American president's inauguration. That was a bad day for a launch, and I said, I don't think I'm going to be a threat to the president's inauguration. And that was a genuine thing. I actually said, "Well,
I had a look. I had a look just before we came on, and you're number 76 in horror short stories, which is pretty damn good."
What's that?
You're number 76 in horror short stories at the moment.
Oh, really?
I had a look on Amazon. You're ranking.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so well done on that, mate. Yeah.
Oh, excellent. That's really good. But it was very exciting, isn't it? It's to and we could start to get feedback. Oh, it's fun. I want to get it out there now. I want to. I'm very happy with it. Very happy with it. So
yeah, good. Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to reading it, and I'll leave a review because a lot of people don't realize how important reviews are on Amazon. I didn't until I was a friend of mine is Michelle River from Erie River Publishing. Yeah, she's quite a good friend of mine, and a Canadian publisher, and she was saying something about leaving a review. I didn't realize, but all the algorithms that if somebody types in a certain type of horror or something like that, what dictates on where you come on that list is not just down to sales, it's down to reviews. Reviews are very important.
So living and learning then all the time.
Well, I'm learning all the time, and I'm picking by doing like readings and things like this with these publishers. I'm learning all these little tricks.
I mean, the strangest thing for me, like you said, because I suppose I'd love to have written when I was younger. I got totally taken up with my career, and if I'm honest, I really enjoyed what I did. I'm very
same. I mean, the only reason I stopped being a chef because I've ran restaurants and things like that. The only reason I stopped was the condition, because it if it flares up, because I'll never get rid of it. If I get any sort of inflammation in my neck, it can take my legs out. I also have really bad spasms, to the point where I threw a packet of digestive biscuits at somebody in Aldi a while ago. I picked them up off the shelf and looked at it and went to put them back and went like that and lobbed this packet of biscuits, and he went sailing past this guy's face. So that was basically over on my career, because I can't.
It probably looked fairly aggressive, that, didn't it?
Yeah, well, I can't go throwing knives at people by accident. It's just not good. Yeah. So that was the impetus of me actually doing it properly. It was kind of like
you said the right thing too, with you just want people to read what you write, and I just see that a lot, and the only trouble with the publishing, and I despair at a lot of the shit that's out there, really. And you can self-publish, you can go on Amazon, you can call yourself a bestseller, you can make up the reviews. And I have said, to be honest, I've said to someone, if you like it, do put something on Amazon. But seriously, I wouldn't want anyone saying anything that's not, I don't want the first 10 to be these gushing, oh my God, this guy should be God, he's just wonderful. And you never know, they might, but but I just want, I feel that it's good, and I hope people say, oh, it's good, and that'll be enough for me. So I'm completely with you on that front, but you are good. You do what you do very well, and I enjoy it, and I look forward to reading more of yours, certainly. So I just
I've actually got another novella out in February. So
really, yes, no, I saw that.
Black Air Press. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that as well.
My focus is.
Yeah, I think that's all it is. Yeah, sorry, what?
No, sorry. Collection. Yeah, I feel that the stories are good enough now to have a collection. I'd be very proud of having that out there. So I am definitely. I'm putting the short stories together. I've even got my working title is "Let Me Take You Somewhere." I mean, I love the old portmanteau films, where people gather in the dead of night, something like that.
Dead of night. Oh, nice. Yeah, man.
They've all got their stories. And so I've sort of drawn them together with a storyteller, Let Me Take You Somewhere. And I'm just trying a good old portmanteau thing of bringing these stories together somehow.
One of my favourites for that was one of my other big favourites was Arthur Machen. The three imposters that he did, because that had the framing device of the three imposters, and they were telling about what had happened and all the rest of it. It's all just, love it.
What about your music then? So how long has your passion of music been? It's certainly the Gothic, isn't it? Stuff, but also, I've got.
Skinnerd. Yeah. Well, I saw a picture of you there with your hair and your blue jeans, and I thought, here we go, classic.
Oh yeah.
Good man. Yeah. Same. I've always been into this stuff since I was a kid. I grew up in Macclesfield, so I grew up with Joy Division.
Yeah. Well, my claim to fame too. You've talked about your medical conditions, so now mine. Seriously, I have the most appalling tinnitus in my right ear. Right. I've seen a neurologist, and I work with neurologists, so I've seen the best sort of thing. Now, when I was 17, 18, I went to a Motorhead gig, and I spent the whole gig with me and my mate. We literally, no word of a lie, our heads were in the speaker bins. We went down to Portsmouth Guildhall, down the front, our heads were in the speaker bins. I came away, I couldn't hear out of my right ear. This is Motorhead, the loudest band in the world. Yeah. And I saw a neurologist. He said, "Have you ever been exposed to loud loud noise?" And I said, "Well, I did put my," and he'd heard of Motorhead, bizarrely, and I got discharged. And he goes, "Self-inflicted." So I got
self-inflicted.
I'll tell you what, if Lemmy was still alive, he'd have me to answer to, but he's not. He'd have loved it, wouldn't he?
Oh, it would. Yeah. The thing is, there's a couple of mates of mine who have pretty much got the same kind of story. One in particular, he's deaf as a post, so and he shouts all the time. Love him. Great guy. Such a beer monster and all. And I've gone on some piss ups, but he's the same. And I was just like, your hearing shafted, isn't it? And it was just like, yeah, well, I followed Motorhead on like 2 tours. It's just like he followed them around the country when they did a tour, and that was it. His hearing was fucked.
We went. I got a mate, and if he said, I tell you what, I have to say, Stuart, one of my best mates from years and years back. He's in America now, and we lived in the it was Hammersmith Odeon. Where was it? Hammersmith Apollo now, but it was Hammersmith Odeon. There was barely a week when we went down there with. We were Rush and. So a lot of American bands as well, but
yeah.
But oh no, I like my heavy metal. But I've done my head in. I'm lucky to be here now, probably one way or another.
I think that. I mean, to be absolutely honest, where I worked years ago, like it was really funny because they were like, they did the Deadpool thing, and it's like. Yeah, people was like surprised I made it to 21. Then they were surprised that I made it to 25. Then they were really surprised when I made it to 30. They were ridiculously surprised, and on it went. And it's like, I'm still here, mate.
I tell you what, I will be with a Zimmer frame. I'll be down there.
Down the front, man. Yeah. I'm right.
I'll be there. I will be the saddest old fart that you've ever seen. But yeah.
I've already picked out the cane and the long coat I'm going to wear.
Oh yeah, you can go for an image, can't you?
Exactly, man.
I do. One of the things I could cry for is the gigs that we've. I know. Believe it, I know the sadness because I bloody work amongst it and see it all. But at a more sort of personal level, yeah, just the gigs and the stuff.
Same. Again, I had loads of stuff lined up this year, and the thing is, I'm a DJ as well, and I run nights down here, and I do like after parties. So I had an after party for Gene Loves Jezebel set up. I had an after party for a couple of other bands set up. Yeah. I had tickets to go and see The Mission up in London, tickets to go and see Bauhaus up in London. And it's just like, oh, crap. Some of it's getting rescheduled, but the rescheduled dates are looming now. And it looks like they're going to end up being rescheduled again.
I've got several tickets. I mean, I had there's a band called bizarrely through the BFS. I met the guitarist called Gin Annie, and they had their first album out last year and headlining tour, and the whole lot was just knocked on the head. Yeah. They have done amazing. They've done they did a gig actually a couple of weeks ago, a live gig that you sort of not virtual, but you paid to see. Yeah. Fantastic. It must have been so tough for them without the audience. Having said that, several hundred people I'm sure were watching, but they were on this well, they are on the cusp because they're bloody good. They got another album coming out, so I'm sure they'll work their way through. But it's the hiatus has just been so.
It must be gutting. It's like you've got yourself to a point where you can have a full on like headline tour or whatever.
Yeah,
and then
it was their first headline tour. Yeah.
But I've seen a few of these virtual things. I mean, I saw one. Because I had tickets to go see Pop Will Eat Itself, and they did a virtual thing, and it was really, really good. But you could see how awkward they were. You could see them like looking at each other, like going to shout at the audience because obviously banter. Because I've been in bands, and I can't imagine how weird that is not getting any feedback. You think you've just played your bollocks off.
Well, Gin Annie did one a couple of weeks ago, and you got the ticket. You paid for the ticket. It was really good. You're not in the Camden underworld. You're not in the whatever.
No.
Sort of thing.
Yeah.
What have we got in Brighton? You're not in the
Concord,
Dome.
The Concord, the Dome.
Concord too. I've done some good things. I bet you and me have been in the Concord too at the same time. Did you see
Very probably.
Pill? Did you see Pill or or not?
Oh yes, yeah. I did.
Yeah. Phil, that was good, wasn't it?
That was really good gig. Yeah. Well, I thought about this because I was like, yeah, we've probably been in the same place at the same time.
Echo and the Bunny, man. Did you see that?
That was amazing. Yeah, that was incredible.
Yeah. I think you were in front of me.
Very probably. Very loud and jumping around. Yeah, probably.
The wonderful thing about Concord too is there was a band called Nashville Pussy.
Oh, my mate dragged me to see them. Nashville Pussy were hilarious. They were brilliant.
You saw that, and they support. They would the support.
Yeah, I can't remember who they supported now, but it was because I worked at the Carolina Brunswick, the pub by the level, and the guy who was my boss, Peter Von Sleaze, who's also a DJ. He's really into all that sleazy rock and roll stuff like that, and I don't know what happened. He had 2 tickets, and I think his missus couldn't go or something, and I was stood at the bar getting pissed. And he goes, Tim, do you want to come to a gig? He's like, yeah, all right, yeah. Yeah, whatever. Who are we going to see? I don't know. No, it was good fun.
They were great. Now, I wanted to see Nashville Pussy, and the next thing I see, it's there. I think the ticket was about £9, and it was like, it was just amazing. So, got on the train, got down there, easy. And the thing is, they would support. So I ended up, they were at the bar after they did their set. And so I was having drinks with them at the bar. No, that's just bizarre, isn't it? A band that you want to see, and you end up here at the pub.
The thing is, I've done that quite a lot because when I lived in the West Midlands, in Dudley, I lived at the pub and worked at the pub as a head chef there, which was right up the road from JB's, which was the big rock club, and they have all the bands on there. And because I was up the road and all the rest of it, I used to just get in free. And I was it was open sort of Wednesday through to Sunday. So I was just in there every night and I saw all these bands. And because I'd just go in there and stop drinking once I finished my shift. Because the thing is, when you're a chef, your 5 o'clock is 11 o'clock. Yeah. Your 5 o'clock is bedtime for everybody else. So yeah. It's like one of the best ones I had. I mean, it's not even the sort of thing I'm really into. But do you remember Annihilator? Yeah, I fed them one night.
Yeah,
they gave me like free tickets and all this, man. I went there and I had work the following day, and it was getting on for like 11 o'clock in the morning. I'm still on their tour bus, pissed as a parrot, talking bollocks with their bass guitarist playing cards. And I had to phone in one of the other chefs and went, can you cover me today? Luckily, it was only like Thursday morning or something. I was like, oh God. Yeah.
Annihilator. No, I saw that. That was Camden Underworld. I saw Camden about a few years ago. That was, yeah. Amazing.
They were really good. I mean, I'm not really into like thrash metal and stuff, but they were really good at what they do. And I was drunk enough that I really enjoyed it.
Well, again, this someone who's become a friend is Adam Neville, who is he had the film The Ritual. I don't know if you saw he wrote the book The Ritual, and it was made into a film. It was a good film, excellent, really, really good book. And
I've not actually read it. I need to read that.
Oh, yeah. You do.
It's one of the ones that I have a mountainous to read list. It's just
Adam is he's a true friend sort of thing, but nice. he can be very grim in his novels. They're so worth having if you haven't read them. No, The Ritual, that's a really good film. But again, you see, you just learn stuff. I've just learned so much with the writing, as I'm sure you have.
Yeah, I mean, I learned because I'm in a lot of groups, and I do quite a lot of group projects and things like this with writers that I've met.
Oh, really?
Especially through publishers like Black Hair Press, they do a lot of author-led stuff where some guy, an author will pitch an idea to them, and you'll choose a bunch of authors to do something. And I've got to know a lot of these people, and a lot of them are are just starting out and all the rest of it. But you learn so much just talking to people about how they do it, how you do it. And I love that sort of interaction. It's just like you like sort of swap ideas almost, just like, you know.
What is the wonderful thing is then you apply it as you do sort of thing to what you do, and I'm coming back to that always watching eye in this one. It's a really pity the publisher isn't. He sadly stopped about a year ago. It was, I think, it was Charles Dunphy, and he was very good. And the book, the stories in it, the other stories, that they're nearly as good as mine. So that's. I am happy.
I love it.
they are, but it is. But I suppose, like I said, through what I saw, through what I've done, I try to push it, not graphically. I don't write graphically, but I try to push it. You know, the mental aspect, the psychological aspect to it. That deeper than dark water. It's a neurosurgeon who wants to go further than anyone else, and he starts. It's very Lovecraft, really, isn't it? Start Reanimator, that sort of stuff. You know, experimenting.
Again, it's also it's back to Mackin, isn't it? Great God Pan. It's all, you know. But I mean, I tend to. Some people have said that my stuff is quite graphic, but I've actually read back the pieces they said, and they're not. I tend to imply more than I say. I do like ridiculous, like really horrific and extreme situations, but I'll never go into that much detail.
Yeah, no, which is good. But I think that's well,
because the human mind can fill in the blanks.
It's like I was reading something from it was one of the authors from the BFS, and he was saying, who was it? I think it was Stephen Volk, who actually did the Ghost Watch back in the 80s. There was the thing with. That was just amazing.
The thing with Parky and all that.
Yes, that's it. Yeah,
I've got that on DVD. It's awesome. Yeah, with Parkinson and Craig Charles doing that's the.
Mike Smith.
Yeah, which one is that? Which haunting is that? It's the.
It wasn't a haunt. I don't. Was it based on a haunting? It was based on a haunted house with.
It was based. It was based on the same haunted house that they based the second Conjuring film on.
Oh yes, yeah. But the thing is,
Enfield haunting. That's it.
That's the one, yeah. And they just made it. You got Mike Smith, and it was all being very nice, and then it just went into this bizarre. It was just wonderful, and I mean, he was great, and he was saying that how he doesn't. I've got a cat down there. She's probably going to knock the laptop off. No, you're not in a minute. So, he was saying it doesn't work for him. The full-on graphicness of stuff that you get in films these days. You can just go beyond that sort of thing. It doesn't work. You got to tread this knife edge of being graphic but holding back a little bit. You do it, and again, that's what I think I've learned to do, and what we will. Everyone's learning all the time. I mean, to be quite honest, I'm sure Stephen King. I'm sure he's learning. Even now,
well, you see, they all evolve.
Yeah,
it's like if you read like Revival is one of my favorites of his. Which is fairly recent. I absolutely loved that. And if you read that against something like It, even it's like night and day. They're totally different beasts. I mean, it's still you still tell it's King, but the way he structures a scene, it's different. You know. Hey.
Right. You're happy now. Good.
Pay me attention.
Right,
Pay me attention.
Right. I'm just going to kicker. Right, yeah, that's it. Oh,
Get
she flew across the room then. Don't worry, I'll suffer.
Yeah, oh, you will. Yeah, usually when you're asleep. Yeah, you fucker.
I'm softy. I'm a big softy. I'll be like that with cats, and then I'll just take people apart in the art of anatomy, which is, which is
Oh, passive aggressive.
The Mendees miniverse. Yeah, we're
Mendees
miniverse. Yeah. Buy them all. I don't know how many there are actually. I'm not sure how far back they go.
There's quite a few now. Yeah.
There must be. I wonder if there's people that get them all. I don't know. Something.
I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, because they'd done a batch before I knew them. They just finished that. Then they did the Little Boy Lost anthology. That's how I got to know them. And then they did the batch that we're both in. Now they're doing the novella thing. Yeah, so there's quite a few of the mini books out there, but they're such a cool little thing.
They're good. And I imagine they're quite good on for Kindle or something like that too. So and like they say, you can read them. They're a one shot, two shot sort of read sort of thing. So it's, which is what people want these days. So.
Yes, very much so. I mean, yeah, very much so. I mean, fiction, it's the market has changed, hasn't it? Whereas, like back in the 80s and 90s, you wanted a big fat novel. Yeah. But now, because so many people commute, they like it in this way. Flash fiction and drabbles and things like that. It's stuff I really struggle with because I'm not very good at doing really short. And that's why that's become such a big thing, because it's sort of thing you can start reading on the way to work and finish reading on the way home to work on the train or the tube or whatever.
Yeah, and there's sort of lots of people out there doing that, and especially at the moment too. I guess perhaps it's a good time for. The only thing, it's a good time for writing, but you do get these sort of. It's probably not fair, is it? That are writing, they can't write, but they do write, and they publish themselves on Amazon or something like this, and but they call themselves a bestseller, and who's made them a bestseller, I don't know. There's a lot of that around. So
there is, and but the thing is, I mean, there's also a lot of really good writers who do the self-publishing route. I mean, there's a lot of older writers. I mean, like Robert M. Price, who's been around for donkey's years doing the old Lovecraft stuff. I mean, he's one of the second wave of the Lovecraft circle, with like Ramsey Campbell, people like that. He's just re-released all his stuff self-published because I guess why not, but by the same token, I think there needs to be some kind of standard, because some of the things that pop up in my you might be interested in this thing, and you read the first, and I'm not on about like because I mean whether the story's good is subjective, but I mean in how well it's presented. I mean, some of the editing work you see in some of these self-published things is absolutely shocking. It's like a first draft,
It's cringing. It's awful. And the thing is, you've got to a point where you recognise that, you see it, and now I'm terrible. It's really funny. The editor comes back to me and says something. This one I'm just doing for Wool Monkey, and then we actually had the final draft, and I'm really happy with it. And I actually read it, and they said, "Okay, this is the final draft." And I read it, and I went back and I said, "I just need to change this bit." And that people aren't even going to notice I am becoming OCD on writing, sort of thing. It's like, give it back. No, you can't.
I love about working with Madison Press is how meticulous Ron is about everything. It's just like,
oh, I'm happy. Yeah. When I got to the final draft, I couldn't. That was it. I'm so happy with it. So
I had the first edits for one of the stories in my collection back from him the other day, and I was just looking at it, and I was just like, and this is one that had already been published, so he'd already had a previously edited version, and he'd gone through and gone, and it was just like, blimey, that is pretty much immaculate, Yeah.
Oh, some of the early stuff I got. I got in an Irish, but it was a good book, Spine Tinglers, and it was a really, really good book. A story I'm happy with. I do try and exploit to other, sort of not exploit, but exploit to go there in other countries, or So I did Phasma, and it's a ghost story set in Greece, and I do like Greece. We go to Greece a lot. Not at the moment, but
you don't even got the corner shop at the moment.
So I did I did a ghost story in Lesbos, sort of thing, and it started and it went through that, and they were a good publisher, and you got your book, you got your final book, and it actually had there was. A rainy afternoon. It was a midnight séance one rainy afternoon. It was just the most appallingly bad, and it's like, how can I get several hundred books back and change that?
I think we've all done that though. I anger in one of mine a while ago. I was just like, oh God, and that was the same sort of thing. It was a very similar sort of thing. It was like that morning at 2 in the afternoon.
They were good. It was an early experience, and they were good publishers, and it just slipped past.
These things happen.
I suspect the reader probably won't or will laugh, or perhaps it works. I don't know. But
well, the thing is, it's like you read some people like some of the big names. You'll always find the odd cock up. You'll always find typos. You're always going to find them.
Yeah.
You are. It's like, you read a Stephen King. If you really wanted to, you could probably find a handful typos and fuck ups.
We've got some friends. We've got sons, daughters who read Harry Potter. I'll tell you what, they tear Harry Potter apart. They actually look back and they just go, well, this doesn't work, that doesn't work. They read it more than J.K. Rowling wrote it, sort of thing. It's sort of.
They've always said that kids are like the most critical, aren't they?
They go there, they work it out, sort of thing. In fact, that's great. So for my novel, I'm going to give it to 10-year-olds, and they can read it.
As your beta readers,
they will be scarred for life, believe you me, because it's full on horror in places. But
nice.
At least I'll get a good book out of it. So yeah, several small children were harmed in the making of this.
I love it, man.
Oh God, that's my writing career over.
No, but then again, man, look at some of the greatest works of children's books. Watership Down. It's fucked up. It's seriously fucked up. It's scarred a generation. It's just like, look at these pretty fluffy bunnies, and now they're all mangled with barbed wire.
Well, it was written on drugs, probably, wasn't it?
Well, a lot of stuff back then wasn't it? It's like like kids' cartoons back in the 80s and the 70s and stuff like that, man. God damn it. It was all bad acid, wasn't it?
I think quite possibly. Have you read Lilith, George MacDonald? Is it George MacDonald, Lilith? The Nightland too. Who was the Nightland? I can't think. That was like two. Oh God!
I think I have read that a long time ago. But
yeah, absolutely amazing. The imagination is just so fantastic, and I can't think. That's really annoying, isn't it? So it's sat on my bookshelf over there somewhere, but I should find it. But yeah. You ought to look out for Dark Lane. I think you'd be intrigued. I'm sure they'd publish it.
Because another one of your influences is Lord Dunsany, isn't it? So you obviously like that definitely. Really weird. Because one of my influences is Ambrose Bierce. So again, it's all that weird sort of fantasy, dark, fucked up kind of stuff.
Totally.
Yeah. But again, it's all. That was all. That was all laudanum, wasn't it?
Well, that's right.
Chasing the dragon, man.
That's how they wrote it. Now it's gin and tonic and 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm admitting to.
Yeah.
You'll have to guess anything else.
Yeah.
I will deny it.
When I read Art of Anatomy, I'm gonna try and figure it out.
There's some interesting sections in the. I'll tell you what, it's a conversation we'll have in a pub sometime.
Indeed, yeah. Well, we've already said this. Well, as soon as this lifts, we're going to go for a pint because I mean, you're literally down the road. So, I mean, my partner works in Haywards Heath. So,
right.
yeah.
Okay, well that's definitely none. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, you know, I'm in Hove, so
yeah,
hop on the train from there.
You got lots.
Minutes, you know.
So you got lots of time at the moment, then.
Yeah, lots.
All right.
Lots.
Yeah. Well, that's good. You're using it. You're using it to good advantage.
Yeah, I'm basically writing and doing this sort of thing. That's you know, I mean, the reason I'm doing a lot of these at the minute is because this is the nearest thing I have to a social life. You know, I mean, we're all learning, aren't we? We're all making the best of it.
Yeah. Well, it will move on. It will, but it will be a memory one day. But
oh God, yeah.
It's just a bit slow, but it's just getting out of this bit. I think the best thing would be when we can actually, when pubs open again, when we can actually mix socially a bit more. And that time, it won't just come; it has to come. Actually,
it does.
It's a make or break. It's a make or break. We're going to get to a point where we have to go. We have to go there. We have to do it. So
yeah, exactly. We'll go for a pint at some point.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Right. Well, on that note, I'll stop wrapping this up. So the book we've been talking about today by Mr. Gary Power here is. Do you want to hold it up again? The Art of Anatomy. There we go. And that's how you get hold of it on Amazon. That's getbook.at/Art of Anatomy. And again, that comes from Madison Press, which is, madisonpress.com. All of these will be put on in graphics as well. I just like the cardboard because I'm an old Blue Peter fan.
My website's Gary G Power.
Yes, I've got that. Gary G Power. There we go.
Because Gary Power was a very famous Canadian pilot who was, no doubt, he was a hero. And it means that there's lots of Gary Power websites out there. So I had to use my middle name. I'm not trying to be arty. I'm not trying to be arty-farty. I'm just it meant I could get my own website. So it's Gary G.
Yeah, a friend of mine's got the same problem because his name is fairly, you know, I've not had that problem. So
I just wish that my best mate name was Stephen King. Then I could say, you know, Stephen King loves all my posts.
Oh yeah, that'd be great, wouldn't it? If you had a mate called Stephen King. Yeah. Come and review everything.
Yes.
So there we go. That's www.garygpower.com.
Cheers. Tim, it's been very good. I look forward to that pint or two or three.
Indeed.
As soon as we can, I'll come. So
excellent. Yeah. Well, thanks for coming on this. One last thing before we go. Let's viewauthor.at/Gary_Power. I will double check that because you said there was a problem with it, but I'll fix that.
Okay, cheers. I'm sure you will. Yeah.
And lastly, before we go, there's me. That's Tim Mendees, writer.wordpress.com.
Recommended. Seriously, absolutely. I read quite a lot, actually, and I fucking loved it.
You'll have to take a picture of your bookcase, mate. You'll have to take a picture. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Do so.
That. Yeah. You'll get that. Yeah, 3 o'clock in the morning, but you'll get it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'll probably still be up tinkering with things. So yeah. Well, thanks, mate.
All right then.
It's been great. Until next time, folks. It's been After Hours with my guest, Gary Power.